Then we can start the class.
Okay, Shubhana, you can start the class.
Okay, sir. So I'm sharing then.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so are the sites visible?
Yes, visible.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So this is the last topic that we will be discussing, and today we will be discussing a number of topics under survey methods. Firstly, interview technique as a research tool in qualitative research. Types of interview methods and advantages, disadvantages of the techniques. These we will discuss in a little detail. Then we will discuss online survey, telephone survey, and panel survey. Okay. So we start with interviews first. So basically, interview, as we know, that it is a method which involves two or more people exchanging information through a series of questions and answers, right? So the first requirement of an interview is that there should be at least two persons who will be involved in this method, in this process itself. There can be more than two as well, okay, where people are exchanging information through a series of questions and answers. Questions are designed by a researcher to elicit information from interview participants on a specific topic or set of topics, right? So there can be multiple topics or there can be one single topic, and on the on this particular topic, a number of questions are designed by the interviewer, okay, and the questions, the specific questions, are asked to the interview participants. All right. Interviews are also helpful when your topic is rather complex, requires lengthy explanation, or it needs a dialogue between two people to thoroughly investigate. Okay, so many different issues can come in if your topic is a complex one. Okay, I'll give you an example here. So this sociologist, she was at that time, she was working in the US. I think in US only. She was doing her research, and for her research she thought of taking a very curious, very intriguing topic, I would say. And the topic was to investigate why men rape. Okay, so that was a topic that she wanted to investigate in the context of the Indian society, right? So she came here, she went to the Tihar jail, right? And she developed a number of questions, okay, very thoughtfully created questions, okay, open-ended type of questions, which were used for the interview. So she interviewed around 100 jail inmates who were rape accused, okay, and they were staying at that time in the Tihar jail. So she interviewed them, and along with that, she gave them certain questionnaires to those were administered to just to find out certain parameters, okay, their personality and some other emotional aspects, and all those things were also investigated. Okay, so what happened was that here a thorough investigation of the topic was done. So on the basis of this 100 interviews which she conducted with these jail inmates, she was finally able to come up with a answer to this question: why men rape? All right, so you can imagine, although the topic is a very short one, and it's it might seem that okay, this is this, okay, what's the big deal? Okay, people rape because these are the gains out of it. But it is not that simple. It's a very, very delicate issue, specifically in the Indian context, because lot of different social psychosocial factors actually influence this I would say this orientation among people, right? So that's why understanding this topic, understanding or answering this question was not that easy. All right, so all these participants, they were asked the same questions in the same manner. Okay, and on the basis of their answers, finally this researcher was able to explore this particular issue, and she published her work later on. Okay, so that's the application of interview technique in qualitative research. In qualitative research, there are many different types of researches where you will see that interview technique is used to a large extent in order to investigate different research issues. Okay, so importance of interview may be known through these points. It is a method best suited for the assessment of personal qualities. Okay, if your basic requirement or your basic purpose is to identify the qualities of a person, then in that case interview method is probably the best method which you can consider, right? So that's why we know about job interviews. Okay, and there also different psychologists, we know that in HR, under the HR psychologists, they are employed, and the basic fundamental work that they do there is to interview the new recruits. Okay, and to understand that or to find out who is the best suited candidate for a particular job, right? So if we want to understand someone's personal qualities, there this interview technique is the most applied and most important one that you can consider. It has definite values for diagnosis of emotional problems and for therapeutic treatments. That is also true in clinical setting. We know that clinical interviews actually are very much applied to understand the kind of problem that the person is going through, and to make a diagnosis of those emotional problems. And for therapeutic treatments, for therapy also, it is required. Okay. One of the major bases upon which counseling procedures are carried out. We know that in psychological context, counseling also requires interacting with the patient or the client in an detailed manner. Okay, just to understand that what is the kind of problem that one is going through. And that's why interview is also applicable here in this context. Interview provides information to supplement other methods of collecting data. This is also something that we need to remember, that in most cases, it is better to combine maybe one or two different methods. Okay, why? Because if you are considering only interview, there can be chances of subjective bias existing in your collected data. Okay, so to counteract these subjective bias that we are talking about, it is better if you can consider some other method as well, like observation method. Okay, or some testing, psychometric testing that you can do. Okay, so all those things you can do just to understand that or just to make sure that the subjective bias is not completely taking over the entire data which you have collected. Okay. Interview may be used in addition to observation to verify information obtained through correspondence methods. Okay, so that's another way, another reason why we should be considering some other method like observation method, because it helps us to verify whatever we are getting to know from the interview of a particular participant. Okay. Open-ended and close-ended questions. Okay, that is also again something which which becomes very important, because a lot depends upon what type of questions you are asking. Okay, are the questions open-ended or they are close-ended? Are they double-barreled? Are they leading? So here you can see some of the examples given. Open-ended questions include, an example: how is your relationship with your mother? Okay, now this is a question which will help you to probe into the relationship with of this person with his or her mother, right? So you're basically asking them how. So it means you are asking them to describe their relationship with the mother, right? Why do we use this kind of open-ended questions? Because it helps us to explore a lot. To once you get this description, you get very rich information, okay, from your participants, and that helps you to understand a particular issue. Okay, if you ask close-ended questions like, do you like your parents? Okay, why is it called close-ended? Because there is one definite answer, one single word one can use to answer this question. Do you like your parents? Yes, no, whatever. And in most cases, you will find that people give you socially desirable responses, right? So even if they don't like, they will say, yes, I like them. I like them a lot. Okay, but when the moment you ask them to describe the relationship, then you will get to know that whether this is liking or not. Right. So that's the kind of difference that we see. So in qualitative interviews that we conduct for investigating some qualitative research problem, there we focus on open-ended questions rather than the close-ended questions, right? Double-barreled questions. An example: what do you think about your career and your marriage? That's an example of the double-barrel question. Why? Because here you are asking two different, you are bringing two different issues in the same question. So one can be one might be having a very, good career, but not a very, functional marriage. It's possible. Okay, so the disadvantage is that if you club two different issues together in one single question, the participant will definitely tell you the answer, but there is a chance that you will be missing out on a number of important information in that case. Okay, why? Because they will be telling you about the marriage, about the career, both. Okay, but they will try to tell you these two things together. So when it comes, when it becomes together, they are trying to answer, then there is a chance that they will be missing out on information. So it's better to separate and ask them one by one. Each of these issues, you ask them one by one. Then it will give you a lot of information. Okay. Leading questions: how happy are you with your career? Okay. Why is this a leading question? Because you are already assuming here that someone, this participant is happy with his or her career. Okay. So what is the problem that you will face? Imagine asking someone who is not very happy with his or her career. You are asking them, how happy are you with your career? It will automatically introduce a bias in the question itself, and whatever answer they give you, that will not be answering your question fully. Okay, that you will see that there will be some kind of confusion in the answer that you will be getting out of it. So that's why it is better to avoid leading questions as well. Okay, keep it open-ended, try to explore as much as possible. Okay. Types of interviews, generally 3 different types you can consider: structured interviews, unstructured interviews, and semi-structured. So structured are they have predetermined questions asked in a predetermined order. Okay, so you have determined it prior to conducting the interview. Second is the unstructured, which is free flowing, so a lot of flexibility. Okay, and the semi-structured is something that falls in between. Okay, let us see each of these. Structured interviews have predetermined questions in a set order. There is already a set which you are considering, a sequence which you are following for these questions. They are often close-ended, featuring dichotomous or multiple choice responses. So the interviewer might be asking the participant that how many members are there in your family? Okay, are you married or not? Okay, like that. So this kind of questions which can be answered in terms of yes or no, or some multiple choice questions. Multiple choice, multiple answers can be there, and they might be selecting one of those option. Okay, so while open-ended structured interviews do exist, they are much less common. Generally, when we are saying structured, it means that there will be a predetermined set of questions. The number of questions will be fixed. Okay, the type of question that you will be asking will be fixed as well. The the set of responses may also be fixed most of the time. So there is a structure that you are following in this case. Okay, that's the characteristic feature of structured interviews. They are a bit more straightforward to analyze because of their close-ended nature, and can be a doable undertaking for an individual. In certain cases, we use structured interviews. So if you consider something like the census, okay, census interview. So we know that every 10 years time, census is conducted. So this time it was, the pandemic was going on, so that's why it has not happened. But maybe very soon it will happen. So in the census survey that is done, there you will find structured interview. So these people, they will come to your home with a questionnaire, and whole lot of questions are there in those questionnaires, and they ask you this kind of very structured questions. Okay, how many family members are there, how many children are there, how many old people are there, okay, what is the age of all these different family members, like that. Okay, so it is the benefit is that you get a lot of information within a short period of time in a very structured, objective way. Okay, so this is an example that you can see here. Structured interview. So it's like a format that you have to follow first: applicant name, date of interview, position, title, interviewer, criterion, title, criterion, description, etc. Then the interview questions you have to put. So that's the kind of the protocol that one has to follow before going for a structured interview. So what are the specific questions you will be asking? Certain notes if you need to put. Okay, so then you develop the structured interviews. Okay, these are the questions. Okay. This is an example that has been given. So suppose someone wants to know about the K9 unit. K9 unit is basically one section of I think US police or military who work with dogs. Okay, so that's why they are known as K9 or canine unit. So these are the questions. You see the questions, like how was your K9 unit started, in what year? Where is K9 unit located within the transit police department? Please describe your department's command structure for how the K9 unit is managed. Okay, does the K9 unit have a philosophy or mission statement? Like that. Okay, so very straightforward questions. All right, and the answers can be small descriptions or can be one single word answer. All those are allowed. Okay, and the same set of questions are asked to all the participants who are there. Okay, semi-structured interviews. Semi-structured interviews are basically a blend of structured and unstructured interviews. While the interviewer has a general plan for what they want to ask, the questions do not have to follow a particular phrasing or order. So here, a lot of flexibility is there. Okay, it's of course it is more flexible than the structured interview. So here what happens is that you have a preset order of questions, right? Certain maybe 5 or 7 questions which you want to ask. But unlike the structured interview, in the semi-structured interview, you do not need to follow the same order, same sequence, and exact words for every question that you wanted to ask. You have the flexibility of modifying some of those questions, okay, in certain ways, and you can also follow different random order as required, okay, as you feel fit. Okay, so that kind of flexibility is there in the semi-structured interview. So semi-structured interviews are often open-ended, allowing for flexibility, but follow a predetermined thematic framework, giving a sense of order. All right, so for this reason, they are often considered the best of both worlds. Okay. This is an example. What type of games do you play at home? Okay, who do you play with? How often do you play and for how long? Where in home do you play? How often do you exercise? Okay, so these questions which are written in bold, they show the this particular theme that you want to explore. In this case, in this particular you want to investigate a specific theme. So the first theme is the type of game that one plays, about games. Okay, second is the type of exercise that one does. Third theme is how they perceive a particular game. And for each theme you have a number of questions which you will be asking the participants. Okay, but you need not follow the same order, same sequence for asking the questions. Okay, or there can be certain changes, small changes in the words that you are using for asking each question, like that. Okay, so this is the kind of flexibility that you get in semi-structured interviews. So semi-structured interviews are actually very popular even in qualitative research. Okay. Finally, unstructured interview. unstructured interview is the most flexible type of interview, most flexible. Why most flexible? Because questions and the order in which they are asked are not set. Okay, you do not need to consider any set or any predetermined sequence or ordering for each of these questions. Everything is flexible. You can ask these questions as you like. Okay, so these interviewers, they proceed spontaneously. Okay, spontaneously as they feel this, they go on asking these questions based on the person's previous answers. So whatever answer the interviewee is giving, based on those answers, the next question is asked. Okay, so unstructured interviews are by definition open-ended. Okay, because you are asking open-ended questions in unstructured interviews. This flexibility can help gather detailed information on the topic while still allowing the researcher to observe patterns between participants. Okay, so maybe one wants to kind of understand or explore a particular issue. For example, maybe whether heterosexual friendships, is there something like heterosexual friendship, or it is always sexual attraction between the male and female that we are considering? Okay, so this is probably the topic that one wants to investigate. Now the person might be asking open-ended questions, okay, to maybe 3% or 5%, 10 persons, whatever. Now this particular topic is fixed, and the interviewer starts with maybe 2-3 questions which are kind of fixed, not exactly those words the interviewer is using every time they are asking question, but at more or less 2-3 themes that they want to investigate, that is fixed. But everything else is flexible. Everything else. In fact, in certain cases, it can happen that when the interviewee is answering the questions, there might be something that they are saying which is leading to some new question which was not there previously. So the interviewer feels that, all right, I need to add this question as well. Okay, so they are adding the question additionally. Okay, so all these kinds of flexibilities are allowed in the unstructured interview. All right. Let us discuss the advantages and disadvantages of these different types of interview. Structured interview, the advantages are that it can be used for quantitative research as well. Okay, data can be compared very easily. You can have like you can be asking structured questions to 100 different people, and again you can directly compare their responses because of this structured pattern in their in the questions asked. Okay, high reliability and validity. Why? Because it is very, very objective. Okay, you are asking questions which are yielding yes or no type of responses, so it is very objective type of responses that you are getting, and that's why reliability and validity is quite high in this case. It is very time effective as well for the interviewer and the respondent. Very in a very short period of time, the entire interview can be conducted. Disadvantages: researchers can't ask additional questions for more clarifications or nuance. Okay, so whatever question is present in the interview format, the interviewer can ask only those specific questions. He or she cannot ask anything more than whatever these different questions are already there in the protocol. They cannot add anything even if they want to add. Okay, limited scope, you might miss out on interesting data. So there is a possibility that when they're asking this different, they're responding, the participants are responding, they're giving certain responses which can be quite intriguing, or one might want to explore it further, but the person is not able to do that, to explore it further, because it is a structured interview that you are conducting. You cannot go beyond the protocol that you have already decided at the very beginning. Okay. There is a risk of response bias. Okay, there is response bias can happen on the part of the interviewee. Due to the restricted answer options, people might have to choose the best fit. Okay, so it is possible that they are not able to give you the typical answer for them. It's just that since you are asking close-ended questions and there are very specific response options that you are already giving, that's why it is possible that the person will have to choose the best fitted answer that are given. So it may not be the right answer, but it is just the best fitted answer that the person is giving in this case. Okay, so these are some of the disadvantages of structured interview. All right. Semi-structured interview advantages can be used in quantitative research, relatively high validity. Okay, semi-structured interviews are sometimes they are used in quantitative research in addition to the other psychometric testing and all those things that we do in quantitative research. Validity is high, but not that high. Okay, so relatively high, we can say. Okay, better than unstructured interview, of course, and you can ask additional questions if needed. That's another advantage. Okay, that if needed, you can add one or more questions in the interview protocol. Disadvantages: lower validity than the structured interview, of course. At risk of Hawthorne effect. Okay, observer bias, recall bias, and social desirability bias. Okay, what is the Hawthorne effect? Anyone? Anyone would like to answer? Yes.
Yeah, ma'am. Hawthorne effect was observed in the study done, which is a very famous experiment called Hawthorne experiment, in which the main conclusion or finding was that the subjects will change their behavior if they know, because of the awareness that they are being observed.
Right. So there is always a possibility of this Hawthorne effect that can happen in case of semi-structured interview. So why? Because since the interview protocol is not objective in its approach, okay, because it is semi-structured, so there are the interviewer has a number of flexibilities. He or she can be adding newer questions based on the responses given, like that. So there is always this possibility that the interviewee can become quite aware of this process, that they are being interviewed, and this interview, whatever responses they are giving will will actually be studied in a particular research. So that can influence their responses as well. So it will increase their socially desirable responses. Okay. You need to have good conversational skills to get the most out of the interview. Moment you are deviating from the structured protocol, you are going for a flexible format, you are actually you need actually a lot of experiences to deal with the kind of responses that that you will be getting in that case. Okay, so what should be the next question asked in this case? And if the participant is giving an answer which is not a very common answer, common response to a particular question, then how to react. Okay, so these actually need a lot of experiences and good conversational skills, because this conversational skill will actually help the interviewer to get the most out of it. Okay. Preparation is also time consuming. Since you are conducting semi-structured interviews, you need to decide on the themes, the specific questions that you will be asking. You have to think about the many different types of responses that one can be giving in a particular situation, particular context, how to handle those. Okay, all those things you have to plan. All right. Okay, unstructured interview. Unstructured interview, the advantages are you can ask additional questions if needed. That's a major advantage, because that helps you to explore a lot of this issue in detail. Respondents might feel more at ease. So it is more like a conversation. When you are conducting an unstructured interview, you do not have a protocol in your hand. Okay, so respondents, they feel relaxed. They feel like they are just having a conversation with you. So they tell you a lot of things. All right, so a lot of information in detail you will be getting if you are conducting the unstructured interview. You can collect rich qualitative data because of this. It can be used if little is known about the topic. In most cases, unstructured interviews are conducted where the researcher does not know many things about a particular issue or a particular topic. Okay, so when this knowledge about a particular topic is very low, their unstructured interviews are conducted in order to get a lot of information. Okay, disadvantages, of course, reliability and validity are very low in this case, because you do not have a structured protocol. There can be subjective bias and all those things. So because of this, the ultimately the reliability and validity actually goes down. You need to have excellent conversational skills to keep the interview going. Okay, sometimes it becomes very difficult. If I don't know if you have all noticed in certain movies and series, you will see that unstructured interviews are sometimes used in for conducting interviews of criminals, someone accused of a particular criminal act. Okay, so there, if the person on the other end is very, very intelligent, okay, then you can get into trouble. Okay, so that's why you need to have a very good conversational skill in this case in order to keep the interview going on. Because the other person on the other hand, on the other side, if the person is witty or very intelligent, they will very easily skip the questions. They will tell you very diplomatic, they will give you diplomatic answers and skip the questions. So you will not be able to get the full information out of the interview. Okay, so that's why this good conversational skill is required. Of course, there is a high risk of Hawthorne effect, observer bias, recall bias, and social desirability bias in this case as well. Easy to get sidetracked. Since here you have the flexibility of adding questions as you please, there is always a possibility that if the interviewer is not very much experienced, okay, or does not have a good understanding of the entire process, it can happen that the interview may go on for 2-3 hours time, but the actual themes which the person was supposed to explore in this case may get sidetracked in this case. Okay, hard to compare data. So sometimes it becomes very hard to compare data in this case, because it's a subjective type of response that you are getting, and different people will tell you different things, and leading to different types of questions subsequently. So that's why it becomes very hard to compare. Preparation is also very time consuming. So you have to thoroughly think about the questions that you are going to ask. Okay. And also you have to plan what, what will be your next question, or, in order to understand the phenomena or event, or a particular, thought, or a feeling as a whole. It takes a lot of time actually. So the preparation time is also very high in this case, in unstructured interviews. Okay, so how to conduct interviews in qualitative research? You first determine your goal. Target people to interview, who are going to be your interviewees in this case. Then you design interview questions, you prepare the interview protocol. Then you conduct the interview. Then you transcribe and analyze the interview. Generally, thematic analysis method can be followed for it. And finally, you optimize and evolve your interview guide. So in qualitative research, since it's a flexible form of research that we carry out, there is a possibility that based on the responses given by the interviewee, you can modify your question set, and you can meet with them again and ask them those other questions. Okay, so your interview protocol can go on getting evolved, okay, due to this adding of different other questions at different times. Okay, so that's how we can conduct an interview in qualitative research. Creating transcripts, I won't go into details because we do not have that much time, and also it is not part of your syllabus. So one very important aspect of interview is that in qualitative research, doesn't matter whichever analysis you do, you need to do a transcription of the interview itself. Okay, so transcription is where you are converting this recorded interviews into written documents or written words, textual data. Okay, so I'll show you some examples here. These are the two verbatim transcript example. So who is saying what? And we have to keep in mind that when we are transcribing data, we have to make sure that each and everything that was explained, okay, or that was expressed during the interview needs to be there. So the pause, you have to show the pause. Okay, you have to if there is a question, you have to give a question mark, so that one look at it and you are able to understand that what was the kind of conversation that was going on between the interviewer and the interviewee. Okay, so all these need to be expressed very well, very written in very explicitly in the transcription that you are doing. So you can see here, like when the subject is laughing, so here you have to give the write the word laugh within brackets. So it means that while answering this question, after hearing this question out, the interviewee was probably laughing. Okay. And then the gaps and the unfinished sentences, all those things you have to mention very well explicitly in the transcriptions that you are creating. Okay. Specific type of transcription that you can use, okay, for transcribing the interview. All right, next comes survey. So survey is, surveys that we know of, there are different types of surveys that we can conduct. So survey data is basically defined as the resultant data that is collected from a sample of respondents that took a survey. Okay, generally there are many different ways through which we can conduct a survey, and in survey, what happens is that we get information from a lot of people all at the same time. Okay, so in a very short time period, we are able to get a lot of data from a lot of people. if you are conducting a survey. So there are different types of surveys, survey techniques that we can use: online survey, face-to-face surveys, where we use questionnaires. We can conduct a telephonic survey, we can conduct panel survey, etc. So let's see each of these. Online surveys, you can see some examples are given here. These are very common these days. You buy something, automatically you will be sent a feedback form. Okay, that is actually an online survey that is being done. Okay, and these days, after the pandemic, it has happened that even in our psychological research also, we use online surveys. We use we try to create Google Forms or some other. We can use some other survey websites which are there. We can use their platform to create online questionnaires, and then they are distributed among the different participants, and they are asked to fill it in, and automatically it gets scored, or sometimes we can score it by after going through the data itself. And so there are very easy ways of understanding what people what people are perceiving about a particular issue or a topic. Okay, so there is no in-person interaction or any direct form of communication. They are quite useful in times of global crisis that we saw. So it's a structured, generally it forms a structured questionnaire. It includes a structured questionnaire that your target audience completes over the internet, generally through a filling out a form. Okay, so Google form or something like that. They can vary in length and format. Data is stored in the database, and the survey tool generally provides some level of analysis of the data in addition to review by a trained expert. Okay, so generally what happens, you get some very basic analysis, like a summary of the responses you will be able to see. Okay, and doesn't matter whatever be the length of the questionnaire that you are using, you can be you can get a preliminary analysis of the data directly. Then you can go for an evaluation by a trained expert later on. So they're very easy to use. And before creating an online survey, what we need to do is that we need to identify first our purpose. Okay, what do we want to do using this online survey? Where will you find respondents? Who are going to be your respondents? So that also you need to think about. Okay, for example, of course, a researcher who would like to explore a particular issue among the geriatric population, for a person, for a research like that, online surveys are of no use. Why? Because in our country, mostly the old people, okay, who are like 60 or above, they have either very low exposure of mobile phones or the kind of interaction that happens in these smartphones, or they do not even have a smartphone. Okay, so that can also be a case, right? So you need to identify what is your purpose and where are you going to find your respondents. That is also very, very important in this case. The software that you will be using. Okay, so online surveys require using one particular software here. So it can be the Google form. It can be some other survey modes. Okay, like Monkey. There is something like a Monkey, or there are many other survey tools actually which one can use for conducting an online survey. Then how will you collect the data and any limitations to information collection? Sometimes there can be certain limitations which you need to follow if you want to conduct an online survey. For example, for patient population, it is of course not a very recommended method of data collection. Okay, why? Because they may find it very difficult to respond in an online survey in this way. Okay, and finally, who will analyze the data? Who is going to analyze the data? Because you will be getting lot of data, quantitative data, if you are conducting an online survey. So how are you going to process that data? How are you going to interpret it? Okay, so all these things you have to decide even before starting with the online survey method. Okay, once you outline those basics, you need to consider the following. So you keep your surveys as brief as possible. It's better to include very less number of questions. Okay, as less as possible. Provide the participant with an estimate of completion time upfront, as well as something that indicates their progress. So these days, if, for example, in Google Form, you will find that there is a progress bar that you can add in each of the pages. Okay, so the respondent, when they are filling out the form, one page is filled, one section is filled, and they will be able to see the progress bar for that particular field for that particular page. Okay, so how much for that particular form. So the person is able to understand that how much they have progressed in each of these each of these pages that they are filling out. Okay. Include a mix of open-ended questions in which users complete the answer and close-ended. So it can be a mixture of both. There can be certain different specific types of responses that you can be giving. For example, you can be including multiple choice responses, or you can be including short paragraph responses or long paragraph responses. So all those are the different types of responses that you might be including in your Google form or any other form that you are considering. Okay, ask if a respondent is willing to answer more in-depth questions in a follow-up survey or interview. Sometimes it is important to understand that which specific type of method is more suitable for a person. Okay, so the person might be so you can be asking them to fill out a particular form, online form, but at the same time ask them that in a follow-up case, whether they will be more comfortable in filling out an in-depth survey protocol in this case or not. Right. So these are some of the things that you need to follow if you are conducting an online survey. Face-to-face method is also quite common, face-to-face surveys, although this is not in your syllabus, mentioned in your syllabus, but face-to-face survey that we can do using different questionnaires. Okay, so that is also very, very important and more reliable than online surveys, because you are able to tap many other things. You can observe the person when they are answering. You can ask them, specific questions. You can, look into their doubts. You can clarify their doubts like that. So there are many advantages of face-to-face interview, face-to-face, surveys as well. Telephone surveys, they require much lesser investment than face-to-face survey. So telephone surveys are, these days becoming quite popular. Okay, specifically during the pandemic, it was quite popular because at that time, in fact, the government also set up many different settings where, psychology students were placed as counselors, and their job was to call these people who were actually suffering from COVID and all, and ask them about their mental well-being and all. So the telephone survey became quite popular during the pandemic, but and it has many advantages, when it has been found that sometimes the client, they find it quite comfortable talking over the phone, explaining their problems over the phone rather than going for a face-to-face interview. Okay, so that's why telephonic surveys are also quite popular, and it's a very widely used method as well for collecting data. Panel survey, finally, panel survey is also, it includes a lot of these different survey methods, but the basic difference is that panel survey helps collect the exact relevant data for a more extended period from a group of people to the target audience. So it does not really it's not about that you are just one fine morning you are just calling someone and you are asking them few questions and it is done, your data is with you. It doesn't happen like that. In panel survey, what the researcher does is that they can be qualitative, it can be used in qualitative or quantitative survey. And here the person might be collecting data for a long period of time. So what happens here is that the same set of questions or measurements, okay, so if there can be questionnaires or there can be, it can be in an interview where the same set of questions are asked and like that. So all those can be administered to the participants at multiple points in time, allowing the researchers to observe and analyze changes and trends over time within the group. So for a long period of time, the researcher is collecting data over different points of time, and then these are compared among each other. Okay, so that helps the researcher to understand the pattern of the change that is occurring over time. All right, by following the same individuals or households over an extended time period, panel surveys offer valuable insights into the social, economic, and behavioral change dynamics. Okay, so this is how you can design a panel survey. You set your goals, then you identify your target audience, then you ask the right questions. It can be in the form of interview, or you can be asking, you can be administering questionnaire. Then you structure the survey and take the survey for a spin. So you collect data multiple times over a period of time. Okay, so an example, you can see this particular research, this panel survey was done, and the title of this panel survey is Health and Wellbeing Panel Survey. The objective was to understand changes in health and well-being indicators among a selected group of participants over a period of 5 years. All right, that was the objective. Sample, what was the sample of this survey? A random sample of 1,000 adults aged between 25 to 65 years were selected from the general population of a specific city. Okay. Then what was the survey design? So a baseline survey was conducted in the first year, and it is conducted in the year 2023. Participants are contacted through various means such as phone calls, emails, even in-person visits to collect demographic information, health history, lifestyle habits, well-being indicators. The baseline survey serves as the starting point for the panel. Right. Follow-up surveys. So this particular survey will continue till 2028. Okay, till 5 years time. And after 2 years and 5 years from the baseline survey, the same group of participants will be contacted again for follow-up online surveys. So they will be contacted again. This 1,000 individuals will be contacted again in 2025 and then again in 2028. Okay, same set of questions will be asked to measure changes in their health and well-being over time. Some additional questions may be included to understand the factors contributing to any observed changes. Also, tracking and attrition. since it is a survey which will continue over a period of 5 years time, efforts are made to track and retain as many participants as possible. Okay, so tracking is required in this case. Participants who drop out are replaced with new participants to maintain the sample size and representativeness. So it is desirable that even after 2 years in 2025, there will be the same 1,000 participants who will be participating. Again, in 2028, the same 1,000 people should be there. All right. So attrition is when the participants, they tend to drop out. So they, leave the research. It can happen. All right. Finally, data analysis. The collected data analysis is analyzed using statistical techniques to identify trends, changes, and associations between various factors and changes in health and well-being indicators. Okay. So the results, what can we expect? At the end of this 5-year panel survey, the research team may find trends and changes in various aspects of health and well-being among the participants. For example, an increase in physical activity levels among participants aged between 25 to 35 years over the 5 years. We can observe, we can expect. Okay, a decrease in reported stress levels among those who reported adopting stress reducing practices during the follow-up period. That we can expect. A correlation between regular social engagement and improved mental well-being over time. Okay, so these are our expectations. The panel survey design allows the researcher to examine how individual participants change over time, providing valuable insights into the dynamics of health and well-being at the individual level and facilitating the study of long-term trends in a population. These are some of the advantages of panel survey. Can be amplified responses, so panel members willingly can sign up to become panel members, which helps in a reasonable response rate. Second, panel diversity. As the panel is diverse, so if you are including 1,000 people, 2,000 people like that, so it's a diverse panel that you are including. And researchers can conduct such kind of surveys, specifically in the market research surveys, to collect various behavioral changes which are spread across different demographics. Different demographics means male, female, age-wise differences, socioeconomic status-wise differences, occupation-wise differences, like that. It can capture more details. So panelists, they have adequate knowledge of the subject matter, helping researchers probe them more and capture more information on the subject. Accessibility, getting hold of respondents among panelists is very simple compared to finding responses from random individuals. And finally, the efficiency. So panelists are pre-screened at the very beginning, and the screening process is continuous. So survey panels are regularly monitored and cleaned to maintain their high efficiency levels. Okay, so of course it is time consuming, requires a lot of cost as well, but it has several advantages, when we are considering different types of surveys. So that's why panel surveys are, popular if your research topic is something which you want to investigate over a long period of time. Okay. Thank you everyone for your patient listening. So I'll stop here, and I think our syllabus is done. So if you have any question regarding what we discussed today, please feel free to ask. Sir, you need to unmute yourself.
Okay. Dear student, any question?
No, sir.
Okay, Anjali. Barsha, related to your note-taking behavior.
Yes, sir.
Varsha is doing research on the note-taking behavior. Okay, Shumana. So
Okay, sir.
Varsha,
Okay.
she is trying to explore the
Okay.
variables for understanding note-taking behavior.
Okay.
The college students.
Good. Quite interesting. Okay.
So Varsha, you have understood several qualitative research methods
Yes, sir.
from Dr. Shumana Datta. I think now it is clear to you. So you will be able to develop your variables for the study.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I am requesting Farah, please you give the vote of thanks to Dr. Shumana Datta.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Let me share my. Okay, ma'am. On behalf of the entire class, we would like to extend our heartfelt thanks for your excellent teaching of the observation method, qualitative method, and survey method. Your dedication to our learning has made a significant impact on our understanding of these subjects. Your study materials were exceptionally well prepared, providing students with a strong foundation for their studies. The depth of knowledge you shared during your lectures was truly impressive and greatly appreciated. Uh, while your class sessions were structured and delivered comprehensive lectures, these sessions significantly contributed to enhancing the knowledge of students and expertise in these areas. Thank you, ma'am, once again. Thank you, ma'am, for your time and your your knowledge about
Thank you,
these
Farha.
areas. Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you very much. I hope whatever I discussed in the class, it made sense to all the participants, and they will be benefited from my lectures. So I'm yet to share some of the slides in the Google Classroom. I'll do that shortly. And Farha, you had asked me to evaluate the assignment, so it is also done. I have sent the and shared the marks. So I think you can see that, right?
Yes, ma'am, on observation method, like you still have to assign the marks. And ma'am, there is one more assignment you have to assign the students.
Okay, I'll do that. The third assignment I'll assign. But in observation, I think mostly it is done. I think one of the students could not submit it. Something was missing there, and I think she had just submitted. I'll evaluate it by tonight itself.
Oh, yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's done.
Okay, so thank
Yeah.
you very much for inviting me. Thank you, sir. And
Thank you,
I hope we will
Shumana,
meet
for
again
giving
soon.
your time. In near future, again, we will call you.
Okay, sir, sure. Thank you.
I hope you will keep your promise. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Varsha. Thank you, Anjali. Thank you, Farah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
So now I am closing the session.